The morning sun cast long shadows across the desert training ground as Captain Sarah Mitchell adjusted her rifle scope for the third time. The brass at Central Command had made their position crystal clear during yesterday's briefing. The enemy's new armored convoy system was unbeatable. 47 heavily fortified vehicles moving in perfect formation, each one equipped with reactive armor and advanced countermeasures. No single operator had ever successfully engaged more than 6 targets in a similar scenario. "It's suicide, Mitchell," Colonel Harrison had said, his weathered face grim as he spread the reconnaissance photos across the briefing table. "These aren't the pickup trucks and improvised armor we've been dealing with. Each vehicle costs more than most countries' annual defense budgets. The armor plating alone can withstand direct hits from tank shells." Sarah had studied those photos for hours afterward. 47 vehicles arranged in a diamond formation, moving at precisely calculated intervals. The intelligence reports painted a picture of military engineering perfection: advanced targeting systems, jamming equipment, and enough firepower to level a small city. The convoy was scheduled to move through the Kaler Pass in 72 hours, carrying weapons that could shift the balance of power in the entire region. Standing now on the practice range, Sarah's mind wandered back to her childhood in rural Montana. Her father had taught her to shoot when she was 8 years old, starting with tin cans lined up on fence posts. "Patience, little bird," he would say, using the nickname that stuck through her teenage years. "The shot finds its mark when your heart is steady and your mind is clear." Those lessons seemed a lifetime away from the advanced warfare tactics she'd mastered in the Army Rangers. 12 years of service had taken her from the mountains of Afghanistan to the urban battlefields of Syria. She'd earned her reputation one impossible shot at a time, but nothing in her experience compared to what command was asking now. The radio crackled beside her position. "Overwatch, this is base. Your transport arrives in 30 minutes. Final equipment check." Sarah methodically examined her gear. The Barrett M82 rifle had been her companion for 6 years, its weight familiar and reassuring. Custom modifications made specifically for her shooting style included an enhanced muzzle brake and a scope calibrated to her exact specifications. Beside it lay her backup weapon, a smaller but equally precise rifle for closer engagements. Her spotter and longtime partner, Sergeant Jake Morrison, emerged from behind a nearby bunker carrying additional ammunition. They'd worked together for 4 years, developing an almost telepathic understanding during combat operations. Jake could read wind patterns and calculate range adjustments faster than most computers, while Sarah possessed an uncanny ability to place rounds exactly where they needed to go. "The brass really thinks this is impossible?" Jake asked, settling into position beside her. Sarah continued her equipment inspection without looking up. "Colonel Harrison showed me the analysis reports. Computer simulations run 1,000 times, each show maximum possible target elimination at 12 vehicles before return fire becomes overwhelming. The best-case scenario has our survival chances at less than 15%, and worst case, we don't make it past the first magazine." Jake was quiet for a moment, then began setting up his spotting scope. "Remember that convoy outside Fallujah? Intel said it was impossible to stop those fuel trucks before they reached the bridge." Sarah smiled slightly. That operation had established her reputation within Special Operations Command. 7 moving targets at ranges exceeding 800 meters, all eliminated within 90 seconds. The enemy never had a chance to react. "This is different, Jake. 47 vehicles means 47 separate targeting solutions, each one moving independently, each one capable of returning devastating fire. We'll have maybe 20 minutes before their air support arrives." The truth was more complicated than she let on. Sarah had spent the previous night running her own calculations, studying satellite imagery, and analyzing the enemy's movement patterns. There were vulnerabilities in their formation, tiny windows of opportunity that existed for fractions of seconds. The question wasn't whether the convoy could be stopped. The question was whether she possessed the skill to exploit those vulnerabilities fast enough. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her younger brother David, currently finishing his final year of engineering school. Saw the news about increased activity in your area. Stay safe, sis. Mom's worried, but try not to show it. Family had always been Sarah's anchor during deployments. Her parents ran a small ranch outside Billings, while David pursued his dream of designing better protective equipment for soldiers. They understood her dedication to service, even when that service took her to places they couldn't imagine. The transport helicopter appeared on the horizon, its rotors beating a steady rhythm across the desert landscape. In 6 hours, Sarah would be positioned on a ridge overlooking the Kaler Pass, waiting for a convoy that Central Command considered unstoppable. Mitchell, Colonel Harrison's voice boomed across the training ground as his vehicle approached. Final briefing in 10 minutes. There have been developments. Inside the command trailer, Harrison spread new intelligence reports across the table. Satellite reconnaissance confirms the convoy composition, but there's been a change in their route timing. They'll be moving through the pass during twilight hours instead of full darkness. That give you better visibility, but also makes your position more exposed. Sarah studied the updated photos. The convoy looked even more formidable in daylight images. Each vehicle showed clear details of its armor configuration and weapon systems. Advanced reactive armor tiles covered every surface, designed to deflect incoming projectiles. Machine gun nests and grenade launchers provided overlapping fields of fire. "Ma'am," she said carefully, "has command considered alternative approaches? Air strikes, artillery support, coordinated infantry assault?" Harrison shook his head. Airspace is contested. Their surface-to-air missiles would eliminate any aircraft before they can engage. Artillery positions would be detected and neutralized before the convoy reaches optimal range. As for infantry, he gestured at the photos showing the convoy's escort vehicles. 200 enemy soldiers with full support equipment. So it comes down to precision marksmanship. It comes down to you, Mitchell. Intelligence suggests their armor has weak points at specific angles, but exploiting those requires perfect shot placement under combat conditions. Computer analysis indicates it's theoretically possible for a skilled marksman to disable multiple vehicles rapidly, but the margin for error is essentially zero. Jake leaned forward to examine the tactical displays. What about resupply? If we're looking at 40-plus targets, ammunition becomes critical. "You'll have what you can carry," Harrison replied. "Extraction will be available 30 minutes after initial contact, assuming your position hasn't been overrun." Sarah felt a familiar calm settling over her mind. This was the mental state she entered before every difficult operation, when conscious thought gave way to trained instinct. Years of preparation and countless hours of practice had led to this moment. "Colonel, I need to understand the strategic importance. Why is this convoy so critical that command is willing to risk a high-value operation with minimal chances of success?" Harrison was quiet for a long moment. Those vehicles are carrying advanced weapons technology, not just standard military hardware, but experimental systems that could render our current defensive capabilities obsolete. Intelligence indicates they've developed new armor-piercing ammunition that can penetrate our best tank armor like paper. If those weapons reach their destination and go into production, he didn't need to finish. Sarah understood the implications. Every American soldier, every Allied force, every peacekeeping mission would face enemies equipped with superior firepower. The balance of military power that had maintained relative stability for decades would shift dramatically. "How much time do I have to study the new intelligence?" 4 hours. Your insertion helicopter leaves at 1400 hours. Sarah gathered the reconnaissance photos and technical specifications. For hours to devise a strategy that Central Command's best tactical minds considered impossible. For hours to find solutions that computer simulations couldn't calculate. Outside the command trailer, Jake was already loading equipment into their transport vehicle. "What's the real story?" he asked quietly. "The real story is that sometimes impossible missions are the only option left," Sarah replied. "Command isn't sending us because they think we can succeed. They're sending us because the alternative is unacceptable. The drive to the helicopter landing zone took 20 minutes through increasingly rugged terrain. Sarah used the time to memorize vehicle configurations and study approach angles. Each enemy vehicle would require a different targeting solution based on its position in the formation and its specific armor layout. As their helicopter lifted off toward the insertion point, Sarah watched the desert landscape scroll past below. Somewhere out there, 47 heavily armed vehicles were moving toward a rendezvous with destiny. Command insisted they couldn't be beaten. Sarah Mitchell was about to prove them wrong. The helicopter touched down on a rocky plateau 3 kilometers from the Kaler Pass as the afternoon sun began its descent toward the western mountains. Sarah and Jake moved quickly to unload their equipment, each carrying nearly 80 pounds of specialized gear. The pilot gave them a thumbs up and lifted off immediately, leaving them alone in the vast desert silence. Overwatch, this is Ghost Team. Jake spoke into his radio. Insertion complete. Moving to observation position. The trek to their planned shooting position took 90 minutes across terrain that seemed designed to test human endurance. Rocky slopes gave way to loose sand, then back to jagged stone formations that required careful navigation with heavy equipment. Sarah's legs burned from the weight of her rifle case and ammunition, but her breathing remained steady and controlled. Their destination was a natural rock formation overlooking the pass, elevated enough to provide clear lines of sight, but concealed enough to avoid detection. Previous reconnaissance teams had identified the position as optimal for long-range engagement, though none had attempted anything approaching the scale of tonight's mission. Temperatures dropping faster than predicted, Jake observed as they climbed the final approach. That's going to affect ballistic calculations. Sarah nodded, already running mental adjustments for the changing conditions. Desert environments could shift dramatically between day and night, creating wind patterns and temperature variations that influence bullet trajectory over long distances. Every variable mattered when targeting precision was measured in inches at ranges exceeding 1,000 meters. The observation position exceeded their expectations. A natural shelf in the rock face provided excellent concealment while offering unobstructed views of the entire pass. Jake immediately began setting up their equipment while Sarah studied the terrain through her spotting scope. Range to primary engagement zone is 1,200 meters, she calculated, scanning potential target areas. Secondary positions at 800 and 1,500 depending on convoy speed and formation changes. Jake established their communication equipment and began monitoring enemy radio frequencies. Electronic intelligence confirms convoy departure from staging area. Estimated arrival at our position in 4 hours, 20 minutes. For hours to prepare for 20 minutes that would determine the outcome of the entire operation. Sarah began the methodical process of setting up her primary weapon system, each step performed with ritual precision developed over years of combat operations. The Barrett M82 rifle weighed 32 pounds fully loaded, its massive frame designed to deliver devastating precision at extreme ranges. Sarah had personally modified the weapon with enhanced optics and custom ammunition specifically designed for penetrating advanced armor systems. Each round cost more than most soldiers earned in a day, but tonight's mission justified extraordinary measures. Jake, help me confirm zero at this elevation. They spent the next hour fine-tuning the rifle's precision, using natural rock formations as reference points to verify that her scope adjustments matched the actual impact points. Desert heat created optical distortions that could throw off calculations, while elevation differences affected both bullet trajectory and scope accuracy. Dead on at 800 meters, Jay confirmed through his spotting scope. Your 1,200-meter adjustments look good too. Sarah felt the familiar satisfaction of perfect weapon preparation. Every successful mission began with absolute confidence in equipment performance. When a moment came to engage multiple targets in rapid succession, there would be no time for second-guessing or equipment malfunctions. Their radio crackled with updated intelligence. Ghost Team, this is Overwatch. Convoy composition confirmed at 47 vehicles. Lead elements consist of 6 scout cars followed by main battle tanks. Heavy weapons platforms in center formation with command vehicles. Rear guard includes anti-aircraft systems and recovery vehicles. Copy, Overwatch. Any change in timeline? Negative. Maintain current schedule. Weather reports indicate wind patterns will shift after sunset. Prepare for variable conditions. Sarah studied the tactical information while Jake plotted potential engagement sequences. 47 targets required careful prioritization based on threat level and tactical importance. Scout vehicles needed immediate elimination to prevent early warning. Command vehicles were high-value targets but heavily protected. Anti-aircraft systems posed the greatest long-term threat to their extraction. I've been thinking about the sequence, Jake said quietly. If we take out the lead scouts first, the formation might scatter or accelerate through the pass. But if we start with command vehicles, the scouts might detect our position and call in airstrikes. Sarah considered the tactical puzzle. Computer simulations assume we'll follow standard doctrine and target vehicles in order of appearance. What if we don't? Explain. The convoy expects potential ambush positions along the route. Their formation is designed to minimize exposure during a conventional attack. But what if we target the center of the formation first, creating chaos that prevents coordinated response? Jake pulled up the reconnaissance photos on his tablet. That puts the highest value targets at maximum range with the most difficult approach angles. Shot placement becomes exponentially harder, but it also maximizes confusion and prevents coordinated countermeasures. If we eliminate their command structure first, the remaining vehicles lose coordination. They spent the next 2 hours developing multiple engagement scenarios, calculating ammunition requirements, and timing sequences for each approach. Sarah's chosen strategy would require perfect execution under combat stress, with no margin for missed shots or equipment failures. As the sun touched the horizon, Sarah received a text message from her father. "Thinking of you, little bird. Your grandmother's rifle brought down more deer than anyone thought possible. Sometimes the impossible just needs the right person behind the trigger." The message brought unexpected emotion. Her grandmother's rifle was a simple bolt-action hunting weapon, nothing like the sophisticated military equipment she now carried. But the principle remained the same: steady hands, clear thinking, and absolute commitment to the shot. Ghost Team, convoy movement detected. Multiple vehicles departing staging area. Your timeline is confirmed. Sarah began her final preparations, checking each piece of equipment one last time. Ammunition arranged for quick access. Backup weapon positioned for immediate transition. Emergency signaling devices tested and ready. Communication equipment set to proper frequencies. Jake, I need you to understand something about tonight's engagement sequence. He looked up from his spotting equipment. What's on your mind? Standard doctrine calls for methodical target engagement with confirmation between shots. Tonight, we don't have that luxury. I'm going to need continuous targeting data without pause for damage assessment. How continuous? 44 vehicles in 20 minutes. That's better than 2 targets per minute at ranges up to 1,500 meters. Once I start shooting, we don't stop until the convoy is neutralized or our position is compromised. Jake was quiet for a moment. Sarah, that's beyond anything attempted in modern warfare. The physical and mental demands alone. I know. She continued her preparation work without looking up. But command is right about one thing. This convoy can't be allowed to reach its destination. The desert temperature dropped rapidly as darkness approached, creating thermal layers that would affect bullet flight paths. Sarah made continuous adjustments to her scope settings, compensating for the changing atmospheric conditions. Long-range precision shooting was as much science as skill, requiring constant adaptation to environmental factors. Their radio brought the final update before convoy arrival. Ghost Team, electronic surveillance, confirms 47 vehicles in formation. Lead elements will enter your engagement zone in 45 minutes. Weather conditions are optimal with minimal wind variation predicted. Copy, Overwatch. Ghost Team is in position and ready for engagement. Sarah settled into her shooting position, feeling the familiar calm that preceded every difficult operation. Her heartbeat slowed to a steady rhythm while her breathing became deep and controlled. Years of training and combat experience had prepared her for this moment, but tonight would test the absolute limits of her abilities. Jake, when the convoy reaches the 1,200-meter mark, begin continuous ranging and wind reports. No pauses, no confirmations, just steady information flow. Understood. Sarah, for what it's worth, if anyone can pull this off. She smiled slightly. Thanks, partner. Now let's prove command wrong about impossible missions. In the distance, the first faint rumble of diesel engines echoed off the canyon walls. Somewhere in that approaching storm of steel and firepower, 47 targets waited for a demonstration that impossible was just another word for improbable. The rumble of diesel engines grew steadily louder as the convoy approached the mouth of Kaler Pass. Through her night vision scope, Sarah could see the first glimmers of headlights reflecting off canyon walls still 3 kilometers away. Her heart maintained its steady rhythm while her mind entered the focused state that combat veterans called the zone. First visual contact, Jake whispered into his spotting scope. 6 scout vehicles maintaining diamond formation. Main convoy approximately 2 minutes behind. Sarah adjusted her position slightly, feeling the Barrett's weight settle comfortably against her shoulder. Every muscle in her body was relaxed, yet ready, years of training evident in her natural shooting stance. The rifle had become an extension of her will, its massive frame as familiar as her own heartbeat. Wind is steady at 4 miles per hour from the southwest. Jake continued his stream of targeting data. Temperature holding at 52 degrees. Range to engagement zone, 1,100 meters, and closing. Through her scope, Sarah watched the enemy formation emerge from the darkness. The lead vehicles moved with military precision, their spacing calculated to minimize vulnerability while maintaining mutual support. Advanced night vision systems swept the surrounding terrain, searching for threats that their commanders believed didn't exist. Ghost Team, this is Overwatch. Confirm engagement authorization. Sarah keyed her radio briefly. Ghost Team has clear visual contact. Request final authorization for Operation Impossible. A pause. Then, Colonel Harrison's voice crackled through the static. Authorization granted. Execute at your discretion. Good hunting, Ghost Team. The first scout car entered the optimal engagement zone, its armored hull clearly visible through Sarah's scope at exactly 1,200 meters. Standard doctrine called for engaging the lead vehicle first, but Sarah's strategy required patience. She tracked the scout car's movement while waiting for the main convoy to reach her preferred targeting area. Lead elements passing 1,200-meter mark, Jake reported. Main convoy entering visual range. Holy shit, Sarah, there are a lot of them. The full convoy emerged from the canyon mouth like a mechanical river of destruction. 47 vehicles arranged in a complex formation that computer analysts had declared unbeatable. Advanced main battle tanks, heavily armored personnel carriers, mobile artillery platforms, and command vehicles bristling with communication equipment. Range to convoy center, 1,400 meters. Wind shifting slightly to the west. Temperature dropping 1 degree per minute. Sarah made minute adjustments to her scope, compensating for the environmental changes. At extreme range, even small variations in wind or temperature could cause a bullet to miss its target by several feet. Tonight's mission demanded perfect precision with every shot. The convoy's center formation came into view, exactly as intelligence reports had predicted. 3 command vehicles surrounded by electronic warfare platforms and heavy weapons systems. These were the high-value targets that would cripple enemy coordination when eliminated. Center formation at optimal range, Jake whispered. Command vehicle number 1 bearing 270 degrees, range 1,420 meters. Sarah found the target through her scope. A massive armored command vehicle with multiple antenna arrays and satellite communication systems. Its commander probably felt completely safe behind layers of reactive armor and electronic countermeasures. He was about to learn that safety was an illusion when facing perfect marksmanship. Beginning engagement sequence, Sarah announced quietly. Continuous ranging, Jake. No pauses. Her finger found the trigger as her crosshairs settled on the command vehicle's vulnerable point where the turret met the main hull. Advanced armor protection couldn't cover every angle, and years of studying enemy vehicle design had taught her exactly where to aim. The Barrett roared like thunder, its massive muzzle brake redirecting gases that lit up the night briefly. 12 ounces of precision machined steel and tungsten traveled 1,420 meters in less than 2 seconds, striking the command vehicle exactly where Sarah had aimed. Direct hit. Command Vehicle 1 is burning, Jake reported without taking his eyes from his spotting scope. Second command vehicle bearing 285 degrees, range 1,440 meters. Sarah had already chambered a fresh round and acquired her second target. The convoy continued moving, unaware that their command structure was being systematically eliminated. Her second shot struck the second command vehicle before its crew could react to the destruction of the first. Target destroyed. Electronic warfare platform bearing 290 degrees, range 1,410 meters. The third shot eliminated the convoy's primary jamming system, opening clear radio frequencies for the chaos that would soon follow. Sarah's movements had become fluid and automatic, each shot flowing naturally into the acquisition of the next target. Ghost Team, this is Overwatch. Confirm status of center formation. 3 targets eliminated. Proceeding with engagement sequence, Jake replied while continuing his spotting duties. Sarah shifted her focus to the convoy's flanking vehicles, where anti-aircraft systems posed the greatest threat to their extraction. Her fourth shot destroyed a mobile surface-to-air missile launcher, followed immediately by a second launcher that had begun to rotate, its tracking radar in their direction. Air defense systems neutralized. Convoy is beginning evasive maneuvers, Jake reported. Lead vehicles accelerating through the pass. The enemy had finally realized they were under attack, but their response came too late. Without command coordination, individual vehicle commanders made independent decisions that actually increased their vulnerability. Some vehicles accelerated, others sought cover, and a few attempted to return fire at targets they couldn't locate. Front scouts bearing 080 degrees, range dropping to 800 meters. Jay continued his stream of data. They're trying to close distance. Sarah smoothly transitioned to engaging the approaching scout vehicles, her shots now coming at ranges where her massive rifle was devastatingly effective. The first scout car disappeared in an explosion of fuel and ammunition, followed quickly by its companion vehicles. Lead formation eliminated. Main battle tanks moving to support positions. The convoy's heavy tanks presented the greatest challenge, their thick armor requiring precise shot placement to achieve effective kills. Sarah found the weak points she had memorized during hours of intelligence study, placing rounds into driver's vision ports and turret mechanisms. Tank 1 neutralized. Tank 2 taking evasive action. Sarah's shots came faster now, her training and combat experience allowing rapid target transition without conscious thought. Jake's spotting data flowed continuously, providing the constant stream of information needed for precision shooting at multiple ranges and angles. Personnel carriers breaking formation. Individual vehicles attempting to escape through alternate routes. This was exactly what Sarah had hoped for. Panic and confusion had replaced military discipline, turning a coordinated formation into a collection of individual targets. Her shots began finding vehicles attempting to flee, catching them as they exposed themselves while changing direction. 15 targets eliminated, Jake announced. Convoy integrity completely compromised. Sarah paused briefly to assess the tactical situation. Burning vehicles illuminated the pass like scattered campfires, while secondary explosions indicated ammunition and fuel supplies cooking off. The unstoppable convoy had become a collection of scattered, vulnerable targets. Artillery platform bearing 170 degrees, attempting to establish firing position. Her next shot eliminated the mobile artillery system before it could bring its weapons to bear. Sarah had studied the convoy's composition extensively, knowing that certain vehicles posed greater threats if allowed to establish defensive positions. Recovery vehicles attempting to assist damaged units, Jake reported, range varying from 900 to 1,600 meters. Sarah began engaging the support vehicles, understanding that eliminating recovery capability would prevent the enemy from salvaging their operation. Each shot was calculated to achieve maximum tactical effect rather than simple destruction. 22 targets eliminated, Jake announced, his voice showing the strain of continuous spotting under combat conditions. Remaining vehicles scattering in multiple directions. The impossible mission was becoming possible through a combination of perfect preparation, flawless execution, and the enemy's failure to adapt quickly to an unprecedented attack. Sarah's shots continued finding their marks as the convoy's organized formation dissolved into chaos. Communication vehicle attempting to establish contact with headquarters. Jake spotted a high-priority target. Range 1,460 meters, moving behind cover. Sarah tracked the communication vehicle through her scope, waiting for it to emerge from behind a rocky outcropping. When it appeared briefly, her shot disabled its satellite systems and left it burning beside the pass. Ghost Team, this is Overwatch. Satellite surveillance shows enemy air support departing from forward bases. Estimated arrival in your area in 15 minutes. The clock was now working against them, but Sarah's impossible mission was nearly complete. 25 vehicles eliminated in less than 15 minutes, with enemy coordination completely destroyed. The remaining vehicles posed minimal threat compared to the devastating convoy that had entered the pass. Jake, prepare for extraction sequence. How many targets remaining? I count 22 vehicles still mobile, but they're scattered across 6 kilometers and showing no signs of coordination. Sarah smiled grimly as she acquired her next target. Central Command had insisted the convoy couldn't be beaten, but they had underestimated both the power of perfect preparation and the devastating effectiveness of precision marksmanship applied without mercy. The sound of Sarah's rifle had become a steady rhythm echoing through Kaler Pass, each shot marking another impossible target eliminated. Burning vehicles scattered across the desert floor testified to precision marksmanship that computer simulations had declared mathematically impossible. Enemy air support inbound in 12 minutes. Jake announced while tracking 3 separate vehicle groups attempting to escape through different canyon routes. We need to finish this and move to extraction point. Sarah had settled into a shooting rhythm that bordered on the supernatural. Her shots came every 15 to 20 seconds as she transitioned between targets at varying ranges and angles. Years of combat experience had prepared her for extended engagements, but tonight pushed her abilities beyond anything previously attempted. Fuel truck bearing 090 degrees, range 1,300 meters. Jay continued his spotting data. That's a high-value target if you can reach it. The fuel tanker was attempting to escape through a narrow canyon route, its massive bulk making it an easy target despite the range. Sarah's shot struck the vehicle's fuel compartment, creating a spectacular explosion that illuminated the entire pass and eliminated 2 escort vehicles caught in the blast. Outstanding shot. Secondary explosions eliminated 2 additional targets. Jake reported with professional satisfaction. Running count now 30 vehicles destroyed. Sarah felt the familiar burning sensation in her shoulder from the Barrett's powerful recoil, but her shooting position remained rock steady. Physical discomfort was irrelevant when the mission demanded continued precision. Her training had prepared her to function effectively even when her body protested the punishment. Multiple vehicles attempting coordinated movement toward the eastern exit. Jake identified a new threat development. Looks like someone's trying to establish tactical control. Through her scope, Sarah could see 5 vehicles moving in formation toward a potential escape route. This represented the convoy's last attempt at organized resistance, and eliminating it would complete the destruction of enemy capabilities. Her shots came in rapid succession, striking each vehicle into formation before they could reach cover. The lead vehicle exploded dramatically, blocking the narrow passage and trapping the others in a confined kill zone where her precision fire could eliminate them systematically. Eastern formation destroyed, Jake confirmed. That leaves scattered individual vehicles with no apparent coordination. The tactical situation had evolved exactly as Sarah had planned during her preparation phase. By targeting command and communication systems first, she had prevented the enemy from adapting to her unconventional attack strategy. What remained were isolated vehicles attempting individual escape rather than coordinated resistance. Ghost Team, this is Overwatch. Satellite imagery confirms total convoy disruption. Outstanding work. Prepare for immediate extraction. Sarah acquired another target through her scope while responding to the radio call. Overwatch. Ghost Team is continuing engagement. Multiple high-value targets still mobile. Negative, Ghost Team. Enemy air assets approaching fast. Extract immediately. Jake, how many targets can we realistically eliminate before air support arrives? He swept his spotting scope across the pass, counting mobile vehicles and assessing their tactical value. I see 8 vehicles that pose continued threat. The rest are support units or already disabled, but still moving. Sarah made a quick tactical decision. 8 targets in 10 minutes was achievable if she ignored ammunition conservation and focused purely on rapid engagement. Her remaining rounds were sufficient for the task, and the tactical value justified the risk. Beginning rapid engagement sequence, she announced. Continuous spotting, maximum rate of fire. Her shots came faster now, each one precisely placed, but without the careful deliberation of her earlier engagements. A mobile radar system disappeared in sparks and smoke. An armored personnel carrier attempting to provide covering fire for escaping vehicles exploded when her round penetrated its ammunition storage. Excellent shooting. 6 targets remaining. Jake reported while monitoring radio frequencies for enemy air support communications. Sarah's next target was a command vehicle that had survived the initial engagement by taking cover behind rock formations. As it attempted to cross open ground toward an escape route, her shot struck it perfectly, eliminating what appeared to be the convoy's senior surviving officer. Direct hit on priority target. 5 vehicles remaining. The Barrett's action cycled smoothly as Sarah chambered another round, her movements automatic after hundreds of combat engagements. Physical fatigue was beginning to affect her precision, but years of training under exhausted conditions allowed her to maintain lethal accuracy. Recovery vehicle attempting to extract damaged personnel. Jake spotted a humanitarian target that required careful consideration. Sarah tracked the recovery vehicle through her scope, noting that it was clearly marked with medical symbols and appeared to be evacuating wounded rather than continuing combat operations. Professional ethics demanded that she avoid engaging medical personnel unless they pose direct threats. Bypassing medical recovery. Engaging combat vehicles only. Her next shot eliminated a mobile workshop attempting to repair damaged vehicles, preventing the enemy from recovering any combat capability. The workshop exploded dramatically when her round struck stored ammunition and fuel supplies. Outstanding effect on target. For combat vehicles remaining, Jake confirmed. Sarah felt perspiration running down her face despite the cool desert night. Extended precision shooting under combat stress was physically demanding even for soldiers in peak condition. Her heart rate had increased slightly, but her breathing remained controlled and steady. Artillery piece attempting to establish firing position. Jake identified an immediate threat. Range 1,500 meters, partially concealed. The mobile artillery system represented a serious danger to their extraction helicopter if allowed to establish a firing position. Sarah's shot struck the vehicle's gun mechanism, disabling its primary weapon and forcing the crew to abandon their position. Artillery neutralized. 3 vehicles remaining. Her radio crackled with updated intelligence. Ghost Team, enemy aircraft detected on approach vector. Extraction helicopter inbound to your position. Recommend immediate displacement. Sarah acquired her next target while Jake began packing essential equipment. One more minute, Jake. I can finish this. The remaining vehicles were attempting to escape through different routes, making targeting more difficult but not impossible. Sarah's shots eliminated a command vehicle and a communications truck in rapid succession, leaving only one confirmed combat vehicle still mobile. Final target bearing 275 degrees, range varying as it attempts evasive maneuvers. Jake reported while shouldering his equipment pack. Through her scope, Sarah tracked an armored personnel carrier weaving between rock formations in a desperate attempt to reach safety. Its erratic movement made precise shot placement challenging, but not beyond her capabilities. She waited patiently for the vehicle to emerge from cover, then fired her final shot of the engagement. The round struck the personnel carrier's engine compartment, disabling it permanently and completing the total destruction of enemy combat capability. Target destroyed, Jake announced with satisfaction. 44 vehicles eliminated. Mission complete. Sarah carefully safed her rifle and began rapid equipment breakdown for extraction. The sound of approaching helicopters was now audible over the continuing secondary explosions from destroyed vehicles throughout the pass. Ghost Team, this is extraction. Landing zone secured. Prepare for immediate pickup. The extraction helicopter appeared over their position as Sarah and Jake completed their equipment recovery. Their mission had required exactly 18 minutes from first shot to final target, eliminating 44 vehicles from a convoy that Central Command had declared unstoppable. Overwatch, this is Ghost Team. Mission complete. 44 enemy vehicles destroyed. No friendly casualties. Proceeding to extraction. Colonel Harrison's voice came through their radio, carrying obvious amazement. Ghost Team, confirmed 44 vehicles eliminated. Confirmed Overwatch. The convoy is no longer a factor. As their helicopter lifted off from the desert floor, Sarah looked back at Kaler Pass. Dozens of fires marked vehicle destruction sites, scattered across several kilometers of terrain. What had been an unstoppable military convoy was now a collection of burning metal that would never threaten anyone again. Sarah, Jake said over the helicopter's internal communications system, what you accomplished tonight. I've never seen anything like it. She checked her rifle one final time before securing it in its transport case. Sometimes impossible missions just require the right approach, Jake. Command was thinking conventionally about an unconventional problem. The helicopter turned toward home base as enemy aircraft finally arrived over their former position. Far below, the remains of 44 vehicles continued burning throughout the night, testament to the devastating effectiveness of perfect preparation combined with flawless execution. Central Command had insisted the convoy couldn't be beaten. Sarah Mitchell had just proven that impossible was simply another word for difficult. The helicopter touched down at Forward Operating Base Alpha as dawn broke across the desert horizon. Sarah and Jake climbed out of the aircraft carrying equipment that had just accomplished the impossible, their faces showing the exhaustion that followed 18 minutes of perfect combat execution. Colonel Harrison was waiting on the landing pad with a full intelligence team, his expression revealing the shock of a career military officer who had witnessed tactics beyond conventional understanding. Satellite imagery and real-time surveillance had captured every shot of Sarah's unprecedented engagement. Mitchell, report to the command center immediately, Harrison said, his voice carrying a mixture of amazement and professional urgency. Washington wants a complete debriefing within the hour. The command center buzzed with activity as intelligence analysts processed the tactical implications of the night's operation. 44 destroyed vehicles represented the complete elimination of enemy capabilities that had threatened regional stability for months. Computer displays showed satellite imagery of Kaler Pass, where burning vehicles stretched across several kilometers of terrain. Captain Mitchell, General Patricia Walsh appeared on the main communication screen for Pentagon headquarters. I need to understand exactly how you accomplished what our best tactical minds considered mathematically impossible. Sarah stood at attention before the display, her fatigue temporarily forgotten in the presence of senior command authority. General, the enemy formation was designed to counter conventional attack methods. By targeting command and communication systems first, I prevented coordinated response and created tactical chaos. Elaborate on your engagement sequence. Ma'am, standard doctrine assumes sequential target engagement from the front of a formation backward. I began with center targets at maximum range, eliminating command capability before engaging threat vehicles. This approach maximized confusion while minimizing organized resistance. General Walsh studied the tactical displays showing Sarah's shot sequence. Captain, you engaged 44 separate targets in 18 minutes at ranges up to 1,500 meters. Our computer simulations indicate this level of performance exceeds human capabilities. General, with respect, computer simulations assume average performance under standard conditions. Last night's mission required exceptional preparation and perfect execution of advanced marksmanship techniques. The general leaned forward her chair. Captain, I'm looking at analysis reports that show some of your shots had margin for error measured in inches. At those ranges, wind variation alone should have caused multiple misses. Sarah glanced at Jake, who had remained silent during the debriefing. His spotting data had been crucial to achieving the precision necessary for success. General, continuous environmental monitoring, and real-time ballistic adjustment allowed compensation for changing conditions. My spotter's performance was exceptional. Sergeant Morrison, General Walsh addressed Jake directly. Explain your role in this engagement. Jake stepped forward. Ma'am, I provided continuous ranging and wind data throughout the engagement. Captain Mitchell's shooting was flawless, but the mission required constant environmental updates to maintain precision at extreme ranges. Colonel Harrison activated additional displays showing ammunition expenditure and target effectiveness. General, Captain Mitchell achieved a 94% hit ratio under combat conditions at ranges where most marksmen would struggle to achieve 50% accuracy on a practice range. What was your ammunition consumption, Captain? 47 rounds fired. 44 targets destroyed, General. 3 rounds were fired at vehicles, subsequently eliminated by secondary explosions. The silence in the command center was profound as the implications of Sarah's performance became clear. Military doctrine would need revision to account for capabilities that exceeded theoretical limits. Captain Mitchell, General Walsh continued, intelligence reports indicate the destroyed convoy was carrying experimental weapon systems that could have altered the strategic balance in this theater. Your successful mission has prevented a significant threat to Allied forces. Thank you, General. My team was prepared to execute whatever mission was necessary. There will be formal recognition of your achievement, Captain. However, the tactical methods you employed last night need immediate analysis for potential incorporation into our training doctrine. Sarah nodded respectfully. General, I'm available for whatever technical consultation command requires. The debriefing continued for 2 hours as intelligence analysts examined every aspect of the engagement. Sarah's innovative targeting strategy had achieved results that computer models had declared impossible, forcing a fundamental reassessment of precision marksmanship capabilities. When the formal session ended, Colonel Harrison approached Sarah privately. Mitchell, I owe you an apology. When I called this mission impossible, I was thinking conventionally about an unconventional problem. Colonel, respectfully, impossible missions often require thinking beyond standard approaches. What you accomplished last night will be studied by military analysts for decades. 44 vehicles eliminated by a single marksman in 18 minutes represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of individual combat effectiveness. Sarah checked her watch, noting that it was nearly noon. The operation that had consumed months of planning had been executed and concluded in less than 24 hours. Colonel, if there's nothing else immediately required, my team needs rest and equipment maintenance. Of course, Captain. Take 72 hours stand down. However, I should warn you that this performance will generate significant attention from higher headquarters. As Sarah walked toward the barracks, Her phone buzzed with messages from family members who had seen news reports about successful Allied operations in the region. Her father's message was characteristically brief. Heard there was some impressive shooting in your area. Hope you stayed safe, little bird. Jake fell on his step beside her. Sarah, what you did last night. It's going to change how Command thinks about impossible missions. She smiled tiredly. Jake, every mission is impossible until someone figures out how to accomplish it. Last night, we just proved that the right preparation and perfect execution can overcome theoretical limitations. The brass is going to want you to repeat this performance. Maybe, but each mission requires its own solution. What worked against that convoy might not work against the next target. They reached the barracks where Sarah's gear waited for proper cleaning and maintenance. The Barrett M82 that had accomplished the impossible needed careful attention after its extended combat use. Each weapon was a precision instrument requiring meticulous care. I've been thinking about the tactical implications, Jake said while they began equipment breakdown. If one marksman can eliminate 40-plus vehicles in a single engagement, how does that change battlefield dynamics? Sarah considered the question while cleaning her rifle. It means that exceptional preparation and flawless execution can overcome seemingly impossible odds. But it also means that future enemies will adapt their tactics to counter precision marksmanship. Her phone rang with a call from her brother David. Sarah, I saw news reports about Allied success in your operational area. Please tell me you weren't involved in anything dangerous. I'm fine, David. Just another day at the office. Right. Another day at the office that happens to involve international news coverage. She laughed, feeling some of the tension from the mission finally beginning to fade. David, I can't discuss operational details, but everything went according to plan. Mom wants to know when you're coming home for leave. Soon, I hope. This deployment has been challenging. After ending the call, Sarah returned to her equipment maintenance. The rifle that had accomplished the impossible required careful attention to ensure it would be ready for whatever mission came next. Jake, what's your assessment of last night's tactical innovation? He looked up from cleaning his spotting equipment. I think we proved that impossible is just a planning problem. With sufficient preparation and perfect execution, theoretical limitations become practical achievements. Sarah nodded while examining her rifle's barrel for signs of excessive wear. 47 rounds of sustained precision shooting had pushed the weapon to its performance limits, but the Barrett had functioned flawlessly throughout the engagement. The question now is whether Command will try to replicate last night's success or develop new approaches for future impossible missions. Either way, Jake replied, they'll know that Captain Sarah Mitchell redefined what's possible for a single marksman in combat. As evening approached, Sarah received orders to report for a secure video conference with senior Pentagon officials. The tactical implications of her achievement were already generating interest at the highest levels of military command. Walking toward the command center for her second debriefing of the day, Sarah reflected on the mission that had transformed impossible into accomplished. Central Command had insisted the convoy couldn't be beaten, but proper preparation and flawless execution had proven otherwise. 44 vehicles eliminated in 18 minutes. The impossible mission was now a completed operation, testament to the power of exceptional skill applied with perfect precision. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and different impossible missions. But tonight, Sarah Mitchell had proven that impossible was simply another word for difficult, waiting for the right person with the proper preparation to make it possible.